We really try to explain to our students that social media and what they do on social media has lasting impacts and has bigger impacts beyond them.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hello, my name is Doug Wheeler. I'm Superintendent of College Community School District in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We have about 5,800 students in 12 school sites.
Hi, my name is John Magas, and I'm Superintendent of Duluth Public Schools in Duluth, Minnesota. We're located on the far western shore of Lake Superior, where we have 13 regular school sites and 4 alternative sites. We serve about 8,100 students, and we're pleased to be part of the community.
All right, my name is Andrew Wheatley. I'm the proud secondary curriculum director at Lakota Schools. We're just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. We have 23 buildings and 18,000 students that we serve every day.
Okay, the first question I have for you is, how has the prevalence of technology in the classroom impacted student learning and engagement?
I think that the big impact on student engagement and learning is that our students are drawn to technology outside of school, right? So the special sauce for us is to figure out how to bring in those experiences outside of school and make them relevant. Part of the challenge is getting past just replacing things that we used to do in school for several years with technology and moving into the ability for our students to use that technology to create ideas and to create an understanding of the concepts and skills that we're trying to teach. So I think that in integrating those processes, our students are doing more videos for themselves, explaining their learning through videos, explaining their learning through posts, explaining their learning and demonstrating their learning through collaboration and some of the collaboration that comes with technology, whether it's kind of the adult world of Zoom or whether it is in some form such as TikTok or other types of video formats.
Student learning has been impacted by technology in many different ways. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think that there are ways that technology has positively impacted learning, many ways that I can think of: use of our Chromebooks, use of digital technologies for learning, personalization of learning. But then there's also been some negative impacts from things like social media or distractions from phones and things of that nature too. So I think it's important for us as adults and as educators to really think about how are we serving our students and how are we using technology as a positive force for learning as opposed to a negative one.
It's been a big win for our students in preparing them for the future and the workforce that they'll engage in. So in Lakota Schools, we've been one-to-one now for about, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. And, we've worked with our teachers and professional development to make sure that they're utilizing the technology in ways that is helpful for our students, prepares them for the real world.
The next question I have for you is, how can school districts deal with social media issues that originate on social media apps and create a problem on campus?
I think districts need to be aware of the fact that they're not going to beat social media, whether that's conversations that students are having or whether that's conversations that parents are having around a concern within the district. I think one of the things that we really focus on is we do have the responsibility of accuracy and we have the responsibility of privacy. And those are two responsibilities that make our responses, especially on social media or with social media, nuanced from what people regularly expect, right? So, some companies have guidelines for social media interaction, but when you're a parent who's concerned about their child or you're a child that's concerned about their safety at school, those are things that are not responsibilities that you have to abide by. So it's really getting to things very quickly, making sure we have accurate information. And we try to do something in terms of we respond through district channels or official district channels to those things. And I think that our parents have become attuned to, okay, there's this going on. We're hearing about this. We're going to get this from the school. And we lean into those, right? We don't try to hide anything. We try to be as transparent as possible. However, that's a muscle that builds over time, right? Especially when you're talking about school safety, you're talking about threats at school, you're talking about social media issues at school. I think the other piece of that is really the preventative piece. We really try to explain to our students that social media and what they do on social media has lasting impacts and has bigger impacts beyond them. And I think that trails back to how are we creating an environment of belonging where students can seek others out, especially adults, to address their problems. And that's why we really lean into, social emotional learning, why we're really leaning into what are the processes where we can have belonging, where every student has that connection at school, so that connection or that lack of connection isn't replaced by social media.
I think schools need to think about how they're working with social media issues that originate off campus in a lot of different ways. I think we have to think about awareness, thinking about our staff and how we're making sure that they have training for how to deal with the issues. I think we want to make sure that we have reporting mechanisms for our students. We also want to make sure that our students and families are well informed too, so that they know what to do if an issue occurs. And then we also have to think about how does that fit within our discipline system in general. Think about restorative practices and how are we going to work with students if something does occur. And also, what mechanisms do we use to investigate things? Because sometimes things come up that are quite serious. So it's important for us to think about those issues and how do we address them.
Yeah, that's a challenge our schools face, especially our building administrators and working with students, trying to be proactive and, reactive with that. I will take, a second to say with our cybersecurity program that we have in Lakota schools, it's been really interesting to see the students who have engaged in that program who have kind of real world experience with the implications of using social media or other digital platforms or digital tools, and what those ramifications look like in both, like the industry and even in their personal lives, and seeing that students who engage in the understanding of social media, how it works, sometimes even the technical side of it, those students have a much better understanding of how to use social media appropriately than a student who just maybe gets a superficial training of, like what not to do and what to do with social media.
Now let's move on to a little bit more of the positive side of social media, because there are some good areas in it. Can you provide some examples of how your students may have used their social media in a positive or productive way that may have benefited themselves or their community?
Yeah, I think that, one of the things that we're coming to grips with is this idea that there is a whole new job category called influencer, right? And so I think that some of our students have really embraced that idea of posting, videos of themselves, of their ideas, and then also using it to promote different opportunities that they're involved in or different projects that they're working on. And that can span from promoting volunteerism to a school project that they're working on as well. So it's just a natural flow for them to take in, to use social media to try to assist them. And I think that that's one thing that is school systems need to embrace a little bit more and try to figure out how to integrate that, because that's the way, obviously, if that's their go-to tool, it's a bit like, when colleges and universities put in sidewalks and then you see the path through the grass, you really need to put the sidewalk where the path through the grass is, right? Because that's where people are walking and that's what people are doing. And I think that that's what we need to do to really help our students utilize social media appropriately and make sure we're not sending the message that social media is bad, that we're sending the message that there is appropriate use of social media. You can use social media for positive intent, as you can use any technology for positive intent, but really giving them the skills to do that. And then also, on the other hand, the skills to interpret and to mediate what they're seeing online or through social media posts as well.
I think that our students really are the best storytellers. Our parents want to hear from our students. Our teachers do, and it really engages the community when our students are using social media to really tell the stories about what they're learning and how they're learning it. So I've seen different teachers and different classroom activities make use of social media in that way, in positive ways. And I've also seen it used for social activism when we're thinking about how are we engaging students as leaders in the community, really thinking about how are they going to be using social media for a force of good rather than a force of negativity.
Our school district, we do a pretty good job. We have a really fantastic PR team that promotes our school district in a lot of different social media channels, Twitter being one of them. So we've had ed chats that are specific to our school district. It's been really cool over the years to see our students participate in those with the adults. So it's a really good way for our students to share their voice about, their experience in high school, engage with their teachers and district administration, and also share out a lot of the positive things that they're doing.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.